Hey guys, what's up? It's Matt in Japan coming at you today with Transformers Earthrise War for Cybertron Megatron. I got this figure used, that's why he's out of the box. We'll just take a quick look at the packaging before we get into the review. But when I first saw this figure released, I thought, well, it looks just like the Seige Megatron. What's the big deal? It's just like a reimagined version of the Seige figure. But now that I have it in hand and I've looked at it and I've transformed it, played with it, they're actually very, very different. And the main point of this video today is to show you the differences between Seige Megatron and Earthrise Megatron. And believe me, there are a lot of differences. At first glance, you may think, well, they look exactly the same, or they have the same this, they have the same that. But actually, there's a lot going on, and we will get into that in a sec. So first of all, I want to just show off the packaging, mainly the side artwork here, which I think is really cool. You get just that really evil tyrant look of Megatron there, with his hand on the desk with his fist and everything. Then you get the holographic image of the Ark there, which is really cool. Supposedly we're getting some sort of figure of the Ark. I'm not sure if I read that right online or not, but something definitely to look forward to. Anyways, yeah, he's a Voyager class, just like the Seige version. And just taking a quick look at the back here, you see him in robot mode and 21 steps to tank mode. So let's get the package out of the way and let's focus on the tank mode. So up close and personal, you can see, I'll bring in Seige Megatron in his tank mode in a sec. But just going around the figure, you get some really nice, again, you get the battle damage a little bit more. Actually, the Seige version didn't have any, but you get some of that battle damage, which looks really nice. You get the nice, bright, crisp Decepticon symbol there, D16, which is a throwback to the original Megatron Takara release, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, same, not same. You get the molded detail of the treads and the wheels down here. Going around the front, you have the turret here. Yeah, some really nice looking tank mode. It's more, for me, it's more cohesive. It's more solid feeling compared to the Seige version. So yeah, you get some nice molded detail all around. Again, you get the battle damage here. And there's an element to this that the Seige version doesn't have as well, with this front piece sort of clipping in. Sorry, not that front piece, this back piece, sorry. This actually can separate and become part of the weapon, which we'll show you later. Again, I don't like the feet dangling off the back. That's my only qualm about this figure. It's just kind of, I wish they could have done something better. I tried to pose them up like this. I don't know, maybe it looks a little better. Just something about that feet just kind of hanging. The fact that those are the feet and they're just kind of hanging out in the back, just kind of bothers me. You still get the sort of visible head syndrome underneath, but not much you can do about that. So yeah, it's quite the tank mode. I really like it comparatively. So let's bring out the Seige tank mode, and let's just put them side by side here. And let me just zoom in a little bit here. Adjust my camera. Sorry about that. Okay, so here we have them side by side, and just holding them, as far as size-wise, let's do a quick size comparison. They are, seems like the Earthrise a little bit, I don't know, they're pretty similar in size. Yeah, they're pretty similar in size, so. But just going around the tank, you can already see the differences. The top of the turret seems like it's very similar, although some molded detail is different. Where it mostly differs is the turret and the sword that kind of plugs in to make the turret, and also obviously the treads on the Seige doesn't really have tread so much, as it's just a design, whereas the Earthrise Megatron has the actual treads and the battle damage. I think it looks great. One thing I will say is that I do like the cannon on the Seige version. I like the fact that they put the red and the silver paint there. It kind of breaks it up a lot. It does look a lot nicer than sort of just this kind of gray part here with just a little bit of black paint kind of picked out. But yeah, overall, it's quite a different figure. So they both can, the Earthrise, has the same 360 degree there. Nothing really at the turret. It can't really move up or down or anything like that. Again, the Seige version does the same thing. But overall look, aesthetically, I think, just putting them off side by side there, I think the Earthrise just pulls it off a little bit better. I think the front part of the cannon looks just more complete. It just looks more, looks a little bulkier. It looks more like a tank to me. I like the fact that there's no gaps here. This is actually just, the legs pegged together, and it makes this one nice piece here. Whereas the Seige version, you kind of get that, sort of gap there, and it's kind of obvious, like these are the legs and things. Yeah, now looking at the Seige version, it's just it's a lot more. I think I enjoy the Earthrise version. It was nice that you have, excuse me, have some painted detail here with the lights in the front, which you don't get that on the Earthrise version. But yeah, overall, I think Earthrise is. I think they did this figure justice by re-releasing it. So, with that being said, let's get into. First of all, we will before we get into the robot modes, I'll actually show you the weapons and see how they differ. Okay, so we're back with Earthrise Megatron here, and just one little detail I failed to mention before about the comparison. There is a really cool piece of molded detail right up here on his upper arms, and it looks like some sort of like kind of missiles or little cannons that are molded in. That's a really cool touch right there. I really like that. There's just kind of little bits and pieces that you find while you're looking at it that really sets it apart from the Seige version. So I've taken off the weapon and just taking a look at the two weapons. So we've all seen the Seige weapon before, so it's kind of nothing new. And then this is the, let's turn this around. This is the Earthrise weapon. Sort of has like a trident feel to it, kind of with this and the two things on the side and this being in the middle. Very different though, very different weapons. I thought maybe they shared some similarities, but they actually are. It's a whole new piece. So I'm putting the Seige weapon off to the side, and what I was talking about, just kind of looking in. There's some nice molded detail there, and you saw kind of in tank mode what it looks like and everything. And this is actually originally I thought this was maybe these were cut out, but this is actually just black paint in here, which is a really nice touch. So what I was talking about before is on the back here, there's a extra little piece that can be compatible with the sword. So it's this little black piece right here. And it's sort of, it's nice that they included this because without it, it looks very hollow. So let me just pull this apart. It's just this little piece here. But without it, it looks, even though this is the back of the tank, it just looks very, very empty and very hollow. So the fact that they included that, just sort of fill in that space, it's really nice. Very nice attention to detail. So basically what you do is this piece here it has a tab on the back, and you take this tab here, and there's a hole. Sorry, is that it? Yeah, there's a hole right here, and that just plugs in like so. And then basically he can hold, we'll show it more in robot mode, but he can hold it from this port here, or he can hold it from here, or you can plug it in onto his arm or whatever. The actual packaging does show him holding it. Let's see, sort of like that. Like this. So I think he is holding onto it with his hand with this little piece here. Or you can attach it on his arm or any one of the ports. So yeah, so that's kind of a, I'm not sure about this look with this thing attached to it. I don't know, I guess it kind of acts as like a little shield or whatever, but it is nice that they included that. And I'll just show you how this pegs in here too. It's just basically like the Seige version. There are little slots there that tab into these right here. And this part goes right in like that. And it goes in very smoothly. And again, I just think that looks really nice. Looks really cool. So anyways, those are the weapons. There they are again. And what do I do with that piece? That piece just fell. Oh, here it is. Sorry about that. So let's put that back. And let's get him into his robot mode. Okay, so here you have the Megatrons in their robot mode. On the left is Earthrise. On the right is Seige. So we'll just start by going from head to toe and look at the differences. So right off the bat, let's get into that head sculpt. Let's get up close and compare the two head sculpts. The Earthrise is a lot more faithful, I think, to the G1 as far as the helmet shape and overall look. The Seige head is a little bit more stylized, has sort of the more squinty eyes, a little bit more kind of a stern look on his face, whereas the Earthrise is a little bit more subdued, kind of the calm before the storm look. I do think I like the Earthrise head sculpt better. So there's a huge difference right there. Also on the back of where the tank pieces fold up in the backpack, on the Seige version you can see the paint. They did some nice, there's some nice sculpt work there and some nice silver paint on there, where you don't get that with the Earthrise version. Another thing you don't get is when it's all folded up, you do get access to these two ports right back here, where on the Earthrise you don't. So it is nice that actually you can kind of weaponize him from the back there. One thing on the Earthrise version you cannot do. And you do see the hinge there with the red. You do see that hinge part is totally different as far as the arm hinge there. One thing that is a huge difference, and I'm so happy that they did fix, is this part here. I always hated this piece. When you're trying to pose the head, this is on a separate piece. I still don't know why. This is just a bad design choice. I could have, they could have fixed this on the Seige version. So glad they did. So bringing in the Earthrise, that's a huge thing that they did fix right here. This is actually one solid piece, this neck piece here, and his head is just, it's on a ball joint there. So there's no longer that sort of flimsy neck piece there, which is a huge plus in my book. I'm really happy that they fixed that part. I was actually hoping that they did, and they did fix that, so that was very nice. Going down on the chest, let's get a close up here. You can see the Earthrise is very clean, no battle damage on there. The Decepticon symbol is a little bit bigger. I actually do like the color on the Seige. It's a little bit darker purple than the Earthrise. I kind of wish that was like that on there. Going down the ab section, you do get some more sculpted detail here, and you do get some nice sort of gunmetal paint and some nice silver paint in blue and yellow on the abdomen, whereas the Seige is a little bit simplified in its form. You will notice that the waist piece is also different. On the Earthrise, it's very simplified, and on the Seige, you do get a little bit more molded detail there. As far as the arms, if you look down, there is that same sort of faux trigger piece at the top there. But going down the arms, it seems like the Earthrise has a little bit more bulk, a little bit more thickness there. And as far as the sculpted detail, it is very different. I do believe the Earthrise hands are a little bigger as well. Going down, and also I think the only similarities between the two molds are this upper thigh piece and the leg. I think those are exactly the same. Going down the leg, you can see there is battle damage on the Earthrise as well. It's a little bit more prominent on the Earthrise too. But the actual leg pieces are different sculpts. If I can get those in picture there. Originally, I thought they were the exact same leg piece, but because of the way it transforms into the tank, they are actually quite different. And one thing we will get into, which another kind of fix that they did, if you remember on the Seige version, these feet pieces were kind of locked in, so you couldn't really get the ankle pivot unless you sort of unlock them. And one thing I always hated is I always thought I was going to break this. So if you take this out, it's still really jarring to do that. But there is a locking piece in there that actually locks the foot in. So to unlock the ankle pivot, you actually have to unlock that, which I thought was really kind of a bad design choice. Actually, I think this one is actually broken because it no longer locks in place. So that is actually just free. But one thing that they did do, that is actually locked in place there. Oops. Sorry about that. One thing that they did do on the Earthrise, which is a huge improvement, is this is just a free moving piece. there's no more lock there, so you can actually pose it and not have to worry about that really hard lock coming undone. So I really do appreciate it. The only thing that happens in tank mode is it tends to, when you have it in tank mode, it's kind of angled out like that. So sometimes the feet can kind of move if you're playing with it or whatever, but not a really big deal. So between that piece, between the free ankle tilt and the fact that they fixed the neck piece, those are two huge pluses in my book. Other differences would be on the cannon. So let's take a look. Let's just pause real quick and take a look at the differences in the cannons. Fusion cannons. Okay, so let's take a look at the differences in the cannons. So on the left here I have the Earthrise, and on the right we have the Seige. So first of all, they are totally different. You can see the Seige has a lot more sculpted detail. If we turn this around, on this side especially, the Seige version, which is on the top here, has a way more sculpted detail on it. It actually is very nice. I really like the Seige cannon. The Earthrise cannon is a little bit more simplified, not so much on the sculpted part. Very simple. And I do think, I'm not sure if this is painted black, whereas the Seige was molded in black plastic, or it could be vice versa. I'm not really sure. But it seems like this is painted. It's a very nice, clean, sheer look here. As far as the size, it seems like the Earthrise is not quite a bit, but a little bit longer. Seems like a little bit longer. And actually this back piece is a little bit bigger. And I think in circumference, the Earthrise is a little bit bigger in circumference. And actually the back molded piece inside is very different as well. So you can see that the cannons do differ. So they did a totally different mold for the cannons. So putting those back on in their respective, on their respective bot, which is nice. I mean, it's really nice that they didn't just slap on the same cannon. I mean, the more I think about it, there really so many differences between the two figures, and I do tend to lean toward the Earthrise Megatron more. I think it's just a better overall figure. I think the tank mode's better. The robot mode is better. My only kind of nitpick is about in the robot mode, the battle damage here. It's so nice and clean looking up here. And then you kind of get down to the battle damage. It's like, I kind of wish they didn't have that. Although it does look great in tank mode, so it's kind of a catch-22. But yeah, I think I do prefer the Earthrise mold better. Now, I'm just going to pause again. We're going to take the Seige Megatron off to the side. I'm going to pause again, and we're going to bring in his weapon and see how he looks all armed up. Okay, so we have Earthrise Megatron with his sword in hand, and I kind of wish this was more of a traditional sword like the Seige Megatron had. He could actually hold it in his hand. The way it is now is he's basically just holding on to this piece here, and it's more of like a, I don't know, it's not so much a sword as it's just kind of a, I don't know, it's almost like a blaster, I guess. I mean, it looks pretty cool. But this piece, it does easily fall off if you don't have it plugged in. It's not a very secure, fit here. So please make sure if you do have this figure, it's plugged in, and it can sandwich in between his arm there, so it does stay in place. But it does kind of fall off, so it tends to be a bit cumbersome, I think. Yeah, I kind of wish. I mean, it is kind of cool. I'm not too crazy about the sword, but another thing you can do is kind of take that off, and he does have the ports on the side here where you can plug it in on the side of his arm to kind of, I don't know, that doesn't look that great either. It probably looks the best just him holding it, but I do kind of wish, whereas the Seige sword did have this the handle here where you could just have him hold it like a regular sword. This is way too big. It doesn't actually fit in his hand, so you can't really do that. So that's another kind of just little nitpick I have about that. And the fact that this kind of black piece does tend to fall off, although it's staying in place now. Another thing you can do is, kind of just to show off, I just did get Slitherfang in, and he's a cool little Battle Master here. So you can plug any of your Battle Masters in on the side of Megatron's arm. The only thing is, on this Slitherfang, this piece is so loose, it's really kind of hard to plug in. So I will show you here This port is very tight, so when you're trying to plug this in, see what happens is you try and plug it in and it just goes down. So what you have to do, let's take the battle effect off. What you have to do is get that piece out, and you actually have to really hold it. This port is very, very tight. So there you go. So you put that back in. We'll put the battle effect back on, and that's a really cool look too. You have that Slither Fang in the kind of shield mode. Yeah, I like that look. Actually, a lot better than the sword he comes with. So yeah, let's bring back in Seige Megatron. So overall, I really do think I like the Earthrise Megatron better, and I'm actually quite surprised at how many differences there are. Very little similarity, so I'm actually quite pleased. And it's actually sort of my Megatron of choice right now is the Earthrise. I do think it looks cleaner. I think the tank mode is nice overall. There are some things I like about the Seige figure as well, but I really do like the Earthrise Megatron. Kind of like the difference between the Seige Optimus and the Earthrise Optimus. Kind of not necessarily night and day per se, but I do prefer the Earthrise versions a lot better. So, with that being said, I would definitely highly recommend getting this figure. I think you'll really appreciate both the modes and all the differences that you do get. Originally, I thought it was just like a straight up kind of redeco or remold or whatever, but it actually it's like totally different figure. And in my opinion, the Earthrise is a little bit superior over the Seige. So if you I'd love to know what you guys think about the differences in the two, and if you have Earthrise, if you like him or what, please leave me a comment. This has been Matt in Japan. This has been Earthrise Megatron and Seige Megatron. Please enjoy your day. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.